The WHO, they say, is the keeper of the global knowledge on public health. It is present in 147 countries and has existed for 7 long decades with the sole purpose of, I'm quoting here, foreseeing and eradicating global health calamities. These are heavy words. The WHO's successes, to be fair, have been monumental, but so have been its failures. The coronavirus is among the biggest. It may very well be their last. First, the WHO downplayed the threat. Then it tried to cover up, and eventually it delayed the global response. Now, instead of admitting mistakes, it is preaching the world on how not to politicize a pandemic. Had the WHO shown some proactiveness and transparency, things would not have taken this turn. So here's the deal. We find the WHO responsible for leaving this world ruinously unprepared in the face of the coronavirus peril. And we have some questions tonight, 5 important and very basic questions that the health body must answer. Question number 1. Why did the WHO downplay human-to-human transmission? The coronavirus is not new. The transmission to humans is. And that is where the whole problem lies. January 14, the WHO said that preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel coronavirus. They bought China's word for it. And they did so when, in fact, just 12 days back, 41 patients had been admitted to a hospital in Wuhan. 14 of them had no direct exposure to the Hunan seafood market. That is 44% of the total cases. If this isn't human-to-human transmission, what is? Chinese scientists at the epicenter of the outbreak themselves confirmed this. One headline is on your screen. It talks about how only 27 of these patients had a travel history to the wet markets. And that's not all. A day before the WHO rejected human-to-human transmission on the 13th of January, Thailand reported its first imported cases of the coronavirus. This has been documented on the WHO website. Taiwan repeatedly warned them of such transmissions, yet the WHO remained in denial. So this is the first question they must answer. Why did they downplay or maybe lie about human-to-human transmission? Question number 2. Why did the WHO refuse to brand the outbreak a pandemic? By 15th January, the coronavirus was breaching borders. There was a trickle of cases in some countries. The WHO did not declare a global health emergency, which is fine. But another month and a half went by. The trickle of cases turned into a flood. By the end of February, there were cases on almost every continent. But the WHO did not call it a pandemic. It said the term, quote unquote, won't be appropriate yet. It was only on the 11th of March when the WHO Director General declared it appropriate after 57 days. I want to stress on this. The WHO declared a pandemic 57 days after the first cases were reported outside China. Do you know how many people had died in these 57 days? 4,000. That is more than 5 times the overall death toll of the SARS virus. Do you know how many people had been infected? 118,000. 118,000 people. What again classifies as a pandemic? What is a pandemic? Let's go by the definition on the WHO website. 24th February 2010, the WHO said a pandemic is the worldwide spread of a new disease. A worldwide spread. The coronavirus had spread to 80 countries on 6 continents by the end of February. Yet it did not fit the WHO's own definition of a pandemic. And in case you're wondering why the declaration of a pandemic is so important, I'll tell you why. It makes governments and health systems prepare for community transmission. Question number 3. What did the WHO delegation to China achieve? 28th January, a senior WHO delegation led by the Director General, Dr. Tedros, traveled to Beijing. they met with the Chinese leadership. 131 people had died by then. There were 4,600 cases across the world. The entire Hubei province was edging towards a lockdown. Do you know how optimistic this delegation was? Soumya Swaminathan, the WHO chief scientist, said, and I'm quoting, "It does look like, at least it's not growing, it's reducing." She means the virus. It's reducing. The number of cases outside China has not grown exponentially. That's not all. No data was shared with the US Center for Disease Control. The WHO delegation stayed in Beijing for days. They did not share any crucial data. The headline on your screen confirms this. The WHO delegation further delayed the global response. Question number 4. Why did the WHO change the name of the Wuhan virus? I've come with dates today. 11th February. There were coronavirus cases as far as the UK and the United States. The WHO still hadn't declared a pandemic. What it was busy doing was this: making sure that the name of this virus does not mention China. It renamed it to COVID-19. That's an acronym for Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID-19. The WHO stressed on the year, not the place of origin. The WHO chief said that this gives them, and I'm quoting, a standard format for any future coronavirus outbreaks, which is great, but COVID-19 refers to the disease. The virus that causes the disease has been named SARS-CoV-2. Let me repeat that, SARS-CoV-2. Now, do you recall the WHO using this term? I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because according to the WHO, and I'm quoting again, using the name SARS can have unintended consequences in creating fear, especially in Asia, which was the worst affected by the SARS outbreak in 2003. So don't name China, don't name Wuhan, and don't even mention SARS. Basically, don't say anything that links this virus to China. Question number 5. Will the WHO ever acknowledge Taiwan's performance in this collective battle? Because that's what they call it, collective battle. After all, it was the first country, first region, to warn them about the threat. As early as December last year, Taiwan had released the contents of a December mail. A mail which raised 7 instances of a virus in Wuhan. The WHO took no note of this. The rest is history. Although that's not all. Taiwan has been excluded from the World Health Organization. Taiwan does not get an invite to attend WHO annual meetings. Taiwan does not get important briefings on global experts. Despite all of this, Taiwan is one of the success stories. Will the WHO acknowledge Taiwan's efforts, or will it continue to be bullied by China? In its attempts to not upset China, the WHO has failed to live up to its core mission, which is protecting human lives. It is time to demand accountability and ask questions.